But yeah, welcome everyone. Here we are once again for a bit of EPL preview. Game week seven coming up. So we'll go through three games in particular, and then towards the end we'll give our best bets of the weekend, and also maybe look at a few other games if the boys have got anything special to share. Maybe something outside the EPL, or maybe we'll branch out into some American sports. You never know. But yeah, on your, I would say, top left of your screen, we've got our man George Gamble from Card Spreadsheets, mate. How are you?
Yep, doing well, doing well. Like everyone, I think just getting a bit sick and tired of the whole COVID thing, but no, we're hanging in there. At least we've got football to keep us entertained. But apart from that, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, good man. It's a tough time for everyone, but we'll hopefully provide some entertainment for everyone today. Oh God, something's come up on my screen. No, we're all good now. Um, what was I going to say, mate? I was going to say off the top, I tweeted out about this on the Trademate Twitter early in the week, but you've had quite the performance lately. Once I went back and tracked all your best bets of the weekend, the last six, I think it was since we went through like the Europa League and Champions
Mm.
League playoffs, you have given out six best bets of the weekend, and you've had five come through. Last week was Sassuolo to score and both teams to get two cards at 1.8 in odds, mate. You've had quite the run of form.
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's always obviously good when it's that extra pressure. Obviously, when you tip them off on a podcast, like you feel confident
Yeah,
in them. But obviously, when you're telling it to the masses, you kind of hope it comes in. But no, yes, it's been a great run of form. Um, yeah, obviously with those picks as well, it's always nicer when picks come in that have been well researched rather than just picking them out of a hat, which obviously, of course, they all are, and it's always good to see them come through. But I seen last week, I think I was struggling to decide which one to go with. It was either the Sassuolo or the Liverpool game, but luckily enough for me, both came through. So either one I picked would have been a winner, which is also good news.
no, mate, you're on fire. Um, Haru, on the other hand, pro sports better. Got on the, I would say, the bottom of your screen. Trying my best here, folks. Sorry if I'm making a real hash of it, but I was thinking the best way we should probably judge you, mate, is by CLV or closing line value, rather than if they go through. Would that be an accurate way to judge you?
I think it'd be a more fair way because we have a small sample size based on the plays that we're
Yeah,
sharing here on the podcast. But I mean, not every, especially when we're trying to anticipate moves early when markets are still have a few days until the match starts. There's going to be a lot more volatility in how the line closes in terms of value. But generally, you'll still, if you have the correct analysis of the market, you'll still have a good percentage in terms of closing line value in your favor.
yeah. I remember last week you said, especially the UFC, you predicted a lot of market moves there, I would say. I mean, the one comes to mind is Nathaniel Wood. I think he was at like 262 or something when we talked
Hmm.
about him last week, but I think he went into like 220 or 230 or something
Yeah, he
ridiculous.
dropped quite a bit. Yeah, he dropped quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good, mate. I was on that. So thanks for that. And but in the EPL, unfortunately, we didn't really get much closing value there. But I think, like you said, it can be tough to, yeah, especially we're a few days out. But I guess the ones that you're very confident about, you can let the folks at home know, and we can go
Yeah,
from
for
there.
sure. I mean, I'm always gonna share what I see. Just take that with a grain of salt because these markets, there's always information coming in at any time. UFC is a little bit of a different sport because it's more of a one-on-one thing, and markets generally, when
Mm.
lines are first released, the inefficiencies are captured in EPL and stuff. We don't, especially towards the midst of the season, we don't really see too many inefficiencies come out with the opening lines.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff, mate. All right, well, before we get into the games, for those who haven't really listened before, we do a quiz question of the week, and usually George gets it right every week, and then Haru gets it right about 95% of the time. So I've gone bloody ruthless this week. I'm not giving you guys any multiple choice. I haven't even written it in the script notes for you guys to see beforehand. I'm just sick of getting beat. So here we go. We'll do the answer at the end. Which striker has played for the most Premier League clubs?
Is it a current Premier League striker?
Just in history.
In history.
Yeah. So, mate, if you, I mean, Haru, I haven't got much faith in you, but George, if you get this, mate, honestly,
I've got a player in mind. One who's a bit of a journeyman, but we'll see at the end.
It's actually incredible how many clubs this bloke's been to. So, we'll get to that in the end. But, folks, let's get into it. Saturday, Liverpool versus West Ham. One of those games, a bit like last week, where we said between Aston Villa and Leeds, where you wouldn't think we'd be talking about this, but West Ham have been in some decent form. They are 12th on the ladder, but they've actually, they've been tying, or they got a few draws with, Man City, and what was the one before that? I think it was Tottenham, maybe?
Yeah, Tottenham, that Lanzini super strike.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, geez, that was good. So the odds for this one are 1.4 for Liverpool, 5.5 for the draw, 8.5 for a West Ham win. So a bit of an injury crisis for Liverpool defenders. I'm not sure if they're all going to be out, but, Matip, Van Dijk's definitely out, but Matip and Fabinho could be both out for this one. I haven't checked the latest news. Joe Gomez is kind of the only one left, at least senior centre-backs. Like I said before, West Ham on the dream run at the moment. But although they're having a good run, they are only sitting at 12th. But their XG is quite decent, so maybe they're still underperforming a little bit. What are your initial thoughts on this one, George?
It's interesting for me. I'm interested as a whole to see how Liverpool do now that obviously they're missing some key players. So, you've already mentioned they're missing Fabinho now. Virgil van Dijk obviously going to be out for an extended period of time. It was a criticism that a lot had of City last season was, how can they do without Laporte? And the answer was obviously not very well. But no, so I'm interested to see how kind of Klopp can do with the squad that he's got at his disposal, missing such key players. But what's interesting to know is, Liverpool are unbeaten in their last, I think it's 8 Premier League games against West Ham, and that's winning 6 and drawing 2. As well as that, so I think West Ham have won just 1 of their last 47 away league games against Liverpool. So it's a phenomenal record. So, but I think, we saw this last time, obviously, with how good City were against West Ham previously, and obviously West Ham played well and battered it out and managed to get the 1-1 draw. So how will they fare against a sort of a battered Liverpool side? Yeah, remains to be seen. But with Mane and Salah, if they're on the field, you've always got a chance, and they're just excellent. So you've got to favour Liverpool, and obviously the odds reflect that. I wouldn't be touching this one from a cards perspective, simply because more often than not, Liverpool games don't tend to have too many cards, but every now and then they spring a surprise, so it's a bit too volatile for my liking to be sort of having a play on cards there. But yeah, and as well, Liverpool are unbeaten, I think, in their last 62 Premier League home games, winning 28 of their last 29 at Anfield. So they're just ridiculously strong. They're so strong at home. So for me, it's just going to be interesting to see how they do without those key players. But you've got to favour a Liverpool win every time.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, they've still got that record at Anfield, don't they, where they haven't lost in 3 years? Like Mane's never lost at Anfield. It's pretty ridiculous. I was thinking off the top of my head, I mean, Liverpool defenders, might all be out basically, except for Gomez.
Yeah.
West Ham scoring some decent amount of goals. Yeah. Liverpool, obviously, with the class they've got, you could be looking at this one and thinking there could be lots of goals. You could be looking at an overs bet here. I'm not sure what the line is.
No, I've not. To be fair, I'll be able to quickly find that out now. So, I mean, on obviously Bet365, but on the Asian lines, the goal line is set at about 3.5. So that's where that one is at the moment. So yeah, there could be potentially some value in that. But I do have a themed stat for you for this one, if you like. Obviously, what with it being Halloween, Liverpool have received more red cards on Halloween than any other side in the Premier League. They've received 3 red cards when they've been playing on Halloween. So there's one for you, nice and themed.
Is that the most irrelevant stat of all time?
I'd say it's very relevant. It's Halloween, mate. You've got to get excited for it.
So they're playing on Halloween. Because I'm ahead of you guys in time. Is it? It's Saturday.
Yeah.
They play Sunday morning for me, so it is Halloween.
So yeah, it'd be 5:30 Saturday evening. So the last game on the Saturday.
Wow, that's right. That's right around the time where things get creepy with Halloween too.
Absolutely, that's well known.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. But to be honest, I think even I know there's such short odds for here. That's 4-11. I'm not 100% sure what that is in terms of. In fact, let's have a quick look for you. Just looking at this, that's what 1.36. I got 1.36 on Bet365, and you've obviously said slightly different odds, but usually the price is a lot lower than that on Liverpool at home. So I mean, they're still very, very low. So maybe I'm trying to look at sort of the Asian lines potentially, because I don't see Liverpool absolutely blowing West Ham away. So potentially, West Ham on a 1.5 Asian handicap would be something I'd look at, but. It would be the goal lines or the Asian handicaps I'd be looking. I wouldn't be touching cards personally on this one. You can pick West Ham up here at a plus 1.5 at just under 1.8. So I think that could potentially be a play. But yeah, those are the only things I'd be looking at for this one. But I'll still be watching it with some interest just to see how obviously West Ham do against them.
Yep. All right, we'll bring in pro sports bettor Harout, mate. What are you seeing in the market at the moment, mate? Is there any interest in the low odds on Liverpool?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing support on West Ham for the Asian handicap. So we're seeing a combination of two of the things that George just referenced and also that we talked about. They're also slightly putting money towards the over goals as well, because the under 3, it opened at 3.5 and it's already trending towards it opened 3.5, 1.8, and we're seeing the over get money. So they're supporting the overs, and they're also supporting 1.5 for West Ham.
Oh, okay, very interesting. It depends. You could almost take a stab at the 1.4 for Liverpool in the hope that the defenders don't get ruled out and they actually play. What do you think about that, Harout? Obviously, if Fabinho's playing, then the record that Liverpool have lately at home is ridiculous. So you would think do you think it's worth just having a stab at the fact that Fabinho might play, and then if he does get named on the team sheet, it
becomes a math problem at that point. You really want to ask yourself, what's the probability that they will play in this spot? And then if you can properly assess that, you could say, okay, if they're going to play, 65 or 70% of the time, then it's going to drive the price to this point. So you kind of just have to, qualitatively assess that situation and use your best judgment, because I typically do use that strategy. Hey, okay, in NBA, if I'm liking a particular side and I'm well versed in the knowledge of that sport, then I'll say, okay, if X player has a certain percentage of chance to play, then I can assume that the line is probably going to get to this point, and then I can probably speculate and make a play based on that assessment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would assume this is a really good game to just be sitting there at, what did you say? It's at 5:30, George, to be sitting there at 4:30 on Twitter and just wait for the lineups to come out. And then if Fabinho's in, or not, then you can have a crack.
Yeah, potentially. I don't think I'm just trying to double check here, but I don't think Fabinho is going to be available for this one. In fact, I'm just have a looking at team use, because was it hamstring injury came off with? Just trying to recall. Let's have a look through here. In fact, yeah. So Fabinho's definitely out. It looks through here. So
right, okay.
Yeah, so he's definitely out, and as you said, Naby Keita is doubtful, as well as Matip, Thiago, and to be fair, a player we've not seen too much of, Simicast. They're all doubtful as well. So yeah, there's a bit of a crisis in that back line at the moment at Liverpool in terms of players being out. So, but as you said, I'd be waiting for for lineups to come out just to kind of see who they've decided to kind of slot in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, you don't really have to jump the gun to play early. Like if you're fairly confident that you'll be able to place a bet as soon as lineups come out, because it's going to take a while for the price for the price to move and mature, based on the new information. So I think always the best decision would be just to wait and make sure that the information does truly come in before you like lock in a position.
Yeah. Yeah, no, terrific stuff. So I guess if we had to sum up right now, we're seeing, what was it, West Ham West Ham on the line, and then also
West Ham plus
overs.
1.5 is seeing support, and so is the over goals for the game.
Awesome. I mean, you kind of said that straight up, George, didn't you? And that's kind of been backed up by the market. So that's terrific, fellas. We'll see how that one pans out. And yeah, obviously everyone should be tracking the injury news for Liverpool 1 hour before kickoff. Move on to Sunday, game of the round, fellas. The old Manchester United versus Arsenal game should be a cracker. This one, both teams, not really gotten off to the start of the season that they'd hoped for. So. Yeah, I mean it's one of those games where it's I mean back in the day this would have been a huge fixture, both teams on top of their game, but nowadays it's kind of which team's going to show up on the day and impose their will. Odds for this one, I'm not sure if it's changed, but I got these odds just after Manchester United beat who'd they beat? Leipzig 5-0. So odds for this one were 2.1 for Manchester United, 3.75 for the draw, and Arsenal are at 3.55. Yeah, like I said, huge 5-0 victory yesterday for over Leipzig for Manchester United. But at home, their XG is quite woeful, to be honest. Manchester United XG at home is 0.82 and 1 point compared to 1.87 away from home. So I don't know. This could be this. I think this is data from the last 24 games or something. So you could see this as something that maybe they just haven't coped well through COVID. Not having their home crowd there when they are playing at home. So, and then yeah, on the other hand, Arsenal terribly disappointing defeat. It's pretty easy to say against Leicester on Sunday. The first half was actually quite decent. They should have been up 2-0. But the second half was just nothing short of horrid. It was disgraceful. So I think it's the first time I've seen fans starting to have a crack at Arteta, which I think is ridiculous. But I mean, that's the nature of the beast. And they also could be without David Luiz, which if I said that 6 months ago, you wouldn't have cared less. But nowadays, it's actually a pretty big loss because he's formed a pretty good partnership with Gabriel Magalhaes. So. George, mate, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, you make some really good points. Obviously, as you said, United have been absolutely woeful at home to start this season. I think they've lost 2 and drawn 1 of their opening 3 games at Old Trafford. So yeah, it's been abysmal, absolutely abysmal. But yeah, obviously welcome Arsenal to there. United are unbeaten in their last 13 home league games against Arsenal. A run stretching back since September 2006. So they do tend to fare quite well when Arsenal get to Old Trafford. And also, as well as that, unbeaten in their last 29 home league games against Arsenal in games in which they've scored. So if you kind of want to go with that stat and you look at potentially David Luiz missing, Arsenal have a tendency to concede goals. Could we see more, could it favour more a United win here or a United result? I think Arsenal will do very well to get a result here. I think in terms of the way that both teams play, obviously United are trying to play with that, that quick football, the high press and everything like that. And I do think Arsenal will struggle here. I would be amazed if they got a result. I think United, having been so terrible at Old Trafford so far this season, it's got to turn at some point. And I'm sorry to say, Alex, for your team, but I think it's going to happen this weekend. I do think United are going to get the win this weekend. But also what I'm liking is the fact that my favourite English referee, Big Mike Dean, is in charge of this one.
Oh, fuck.
As you say, the man
I mean, it's obviously bad for both teams, but I fucking hate that bloke. He's just a shit human, isn't he?
Man who hands out more cards than Clinton's, yeah. Got to love him from a cards perspective. But yeah, kind of looking at it as well, I think the last 5 head-to-heads between United and Arsenal, both teams have seen 2 cards in 4 out of 5 of them, so in 80% of those. And with Mike D in charge, I think you've got to favour that. I was looking on Bet365, the odds for both teams to get 2 or more cards was just under evens at 10 to 11. So I believe that'd be 2.1, wouldn't it? No, not 2.1. What am I talking about? I think it's 1.9.
1.9, yeah.
1.9. So yeah, no, I think that could potentially offer some value, because I do quite like that. Because when these two teams do take the field, we've seen it in the past before. They're not really the biggest fans of each other. They do tend to get stuck in. United are going to be desperate for a home result. Arsenal are going to obviously want to get one over on them as well. As you said, with what's coming on, I can't believe people are questioning Arteta already. Like,
Oh, so
it's been so positive up until now, and the first sign of struggle when people are getting on his back. I don't.
I looked at this the other day. Jurgen Klopp, who came into Liverpool in a very, very similar scenario as Arteta has now. It's been 5 years since he's taken over, and within his first 2 years, he did absolutely nothing. I think maybe at the end of his second year, I think they might have come fourth. And then the third year was when they made the final against Real Madrid, and then the fourth year is 2 years ago. So that's when they started to when they won the Champions League, and then they won the EPL the year after that. So, mate, it's absolutely ridiculous. He's not got the players in that he needs at this point. He's got no creative player in the side, or creative midfielder in the side at all, or at least out and out central attacking midfielder. The closest thing, we have one proven central attacking midfielder, and his name's Emile Smith-Rowe. He's like 20 years old. He's the only person that is his position. You can throw in the likes of Saka and Willian, but at the end of the day, they've never played that position before. That's not what they've grown up to play. Yeah. So you can't expect anything. I think Saka's been our best player, or him and Gabriel have been our best players so far this season. He's been incredible, Saka, in those positions. But for people to be judging Arteta at this point, I think he's won. Depends if you want to count the Community Shield or not, but he won the FA Cup. Like, that is unbelievable, really. So for people to be judging him at this point, especially when he hasn't been. He obviously got Thomas Partey, got Gabriel Magalhaes. There's been two great signings, but he was let down terribly by Alexander Lacazette on the weekend. He should have had. I think the goal should have stood on the weekend. 4 minutes in, but VAR ruled that out. And then I don't know how he didn't score that chance he had on the head later in the first half. But it's funny because if that goal stood and then Lacazette scored, which was a sitter, then they would have been 2-0 up at halftime, and it's just a completely different game. So It's a massive overreaction, and that's kind of why I think I quietly like Arsenal in this game, just because I think the market might have overreacted significantly to that, just because the noise around Arsenal at the moment is, they're the old Arsenal now, just because they had one really bad half of football. And on top of that, I might be following a narrative here, but from recent times, at least the last season, this season and last season, it seems like Manchester United have struggled against teams when they've had to press the advantage, if you know what I mean. Like, they've had good results against Manchester City and those bigger teams, but they've struggled against the teams that will sit back because they've more suited that counter-attacking style. And I look at this game and I think Arteta's going to play really what's the word I'm looking for? Pragmatic. Yeah, like pretty pragmatic football, going to sit back for most of the game and let Manchester United dominate most of the possession and try and hit them on the break. I am a bit more favourable towards Arsenal in this game, but that's just how. So I know I just went on a bit of a rant there, but yeah.
I'll say we've turned into Arsenal fan TV too.
I'm trying to back up my man Arteta.
Well, I think the one question we all want to know the answer to is, what minute are United getting that penalty? When's it coming?
Oh, mate, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Are they on a streak? Because every time I tune into one of their games or I look at the thread on their games, they always get a penalty. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is crazy. Absolutely crazy. But got to be in the position to get them, I suppose, haven't you?
Yeah. So Harout Georges, he's seen Manchester United for the win on this one. What are the markets saying, mate?
Yeah, not much movement right now, to be honest with you, but there has been a little bit of support on Manchester United. On a scale of like 1 through 5, if I were to say how strong it is, it's probably like a like a 2.5, 3, but not much movement. And maybe a little bit of money on the overs as well, just a bit, because it opened at 2.75. Sorry, on the unders. My fault. On the unders, they're hitting the unders a little bit. It's dropped from 2.75, opened at 1.9, and it's dropped a little bit.
Okay. Makes a little bit of sense, I think. I mean, yeah, especially if it plays out the way I just said, with Manchester United pressing the advantage and Arsenal sitting back. But yeah, I think the key in this one might just be if Louise is fit or not, because, you know, Mustafi playing centre back is just a fucking frightening prospect at the moment. He's he had that little run of form last season for, like, you know, 5 to 10 games, and then he's back to his old tricks, old Mustafi. Sorry?
You don't rate him that highly then?
Oh, funny enough, I don't, mate. All right, so if we had to sum up this one, I guess, fellas, George, you're pretty keen on Manchester United. I'm reasonably keen on Arsenal, but I'm not coming from I'm coming from a very biased standpoint. And Harout, there's just not much action in the markets at the moment.
No, nothing significant. I mean, so far the best move based on what we've covered is the West Ham plus 1.5.
Yeah. All right. Terrific. Let's move on. Newcastle, Everton. Bit of a random game to cover here, but my man, George Gamble, you really wanted to look at this one from a cards perspective. Odds for this one is 4.01 for Newcastle, 3.6 the draw, and 2.01 for Everton. If you want a little bit of background on this one, you've got Newcastle's XG ratio is still very, very poor, like it was last season. They're still bottom 3 this season with the likes of Crystal Palace and West Brom. So, yeah, still outperforming their XG. It seems like a bit of a trend at the moment. And Everton, top of the table. But I guess if you look at their wins that they've got, they've had a pretty favourable draw to start the season. So their wins come up against West Brom, Palace, Brighton. Biggest wins, obviously, against Tottenham in round 1. And then they've got the draw against Liverpool, which was controversial, and the loss last weekend, which was their first loss of the season to Southampton. What do you got for this one, George?
Well, my main reason for liking this one is I actually wrote the season preview for the guys at We Love Betting, and the referee Stuart Atwell featured quite heavily in that. He's one of my favourite refs, you know, alongside Mike Dean, in English leagues. Simply for the fact that he's a joke. The man is a joke. Like this season, Stuart Atwell has taken charge of 3 games and has handed out 18 yellow cards and a red card. So that's an average of 6 cards per game, 6 yellow cards per game, which is it's just ridiculous. So I was kind of looking, particularly with the fact, you know, Everton, I think they'll be one of the first sides. I was just reading through my notes here. And I was Everton have had a player sent off in their last 2 Premier League games, and the Toffees could become the 10th side to see red in 3 successive matches. The last being Watford in 2017. And with that, I just, as you said, you know, they've not faced anyone of note apart from Tottenham and obviously Liverpool, but they didn't, you know, they got the win against Tottenham, but obviously didn't against their Merseyside rivals. But yeah, with this one, I think at 8-5 for both teams to see 2 or more cards. You know, 8-5 being, that's 2 points. Yeah, I think that's 2.6 for the decimal. This has also landed in the last 5 games. It's all 5 games that Stuart Atwell has taken charge of. So I think that's a ridiculously overpriced bet, looking at it. That was a fancy that I had. But it was due to the fact, you know, with Everton being a little bit more, with the way they're pressing, you know, the way they're taking control of games. They want to win the ball back quickly. That always leads to fouls. It always does. And obviously, I don't think Newcastle are equipped to handle some of those Everton players. So I think we could see quite a few cards in here. So for me, at 8-5, the bet of both teams to see over 1 card, I think is brilliant. In terms of kind of other stats, sort of looking through the games, I think here as well, you know, Newcastle United have won only 1 of their last 7 Premier League home games. But they failed to keep a clean sheet in any of those, and they've conceded an average of 2.4 goals per game. They also concede more shots on target than anyone this year so far. So everything kind of points towards Everton win. Obviously, I think it's Richarlison potentially still suspended for this one. I know obviously I know that they're probably going to appeal. Well, Ancelotti said they were going to appeal Luca Digne's red card, but I'm not sure if we'll get an outcome of that just yet. But no, so I'd fancy Everton to pick up a result here. Obviously, they were disappointing against Southampton. Southampton looked very, very good and took their chances, cut them apart. I think Shea Adams and Danny Ings have obviously been doing very well. Shea Adams is very much a confidence player, so it'd be interesting to see how he does next few weeks. But I mean, looking through for Everton here, yeah. So Richarlison and Digne are both going to be out. It all depends on if James Rodriguez is available because it's saying he's doubtful. But we saw last week when they said he was doubtful. The next thing you know, he's in the starting lineup. So we'll see what happens there. But so I'd be kind of waiting to look at the lineups. But I do think that price will drop. And if it doesn't, it should do. Because I think 8 to 5 or 2.6 is majorly overpriced.
Yeah, so let me just, I might have heard you wrong, but did you say for both teams to get one card or more, it was priced at 2.6?
So it's over one card, so that both teams need to get 2 or more cards, basically.
Oh, yeah. Right, okay. For 2.6, and this guy's been averaging 6 cards a game.
It's only, obviously, it's a very small kind of section, but if you're sort of looking at his overall, in fact, if I just quickly go back to it, he does hand out a lot of cards, but his lifetime total, he averages just under 4 cards per game. He's a very, very good ref, doesn't let a lot slide. So, yeah, with that price, I'd definitely be tempted to have a go on that. I think Newcastle United, in fact, I think he's already taken charge of one of their games this season. He awarded them two cards in that game. So, with Everton going, I think the last one he ref with Everton was then they're away at Sheffield United. Sheffield United used one to obviously commit more fouls, but Everton saw 3 cards away from home then as well. So how much you want to look into that, obviously, it's entirely up to you. It's entirely your choice. But I look at that, seeing the fact that it's landed in Stuart Atwell's last 5 games that he's officiated, knowing that Everton, obviously, I think they've seen at least 2 or more cards in, I want to say 2 out of their 3 away games this season. The one coming against, I can't remember who it's against now. But it's at that price, it is a very good bet. That should be closer to around 11 to 10 for me.
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant, mate. Harout, is there much action in the market here? I know that George has gone for the cards angle, but in terms of, over-unders, Asian handicap, these kind of things, much action?
Yeah, I think we're seeing good support on Newcastle, maybe better than even West Ham in that match because Newcastle double chance. It opened. Okay, so the goal line or the Asian handicap opened at 0.75, and then immediately as soon as the market opened, within a matter of like 3-4 minutes, they already started hitting Newcastle, dropped it to double chance plus a half. So when it moved to plus a half, it was priced at 2.09, and then the past couple of days they've driven the price from 2.09 to 1.9 for the double chance on Newcastle. So we're seeing pretty good, strong one directional support for Newcastle.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did kind of see, just looking through my notes, I did see a little bit of value, I thought, on Newcastle just because, because they just continue to perform their XG. So I wonder if it's just a point where you give up, and Everton obviously have had a great start to the season, but they have lost. The teams that they've beaten haven't been that great. So, all right. So, what if you had to have a play in this one? What would you go with then, Harout? The Newcastle double chance?
I would say so. Yeah, I'd probably, if I were to make a play here, I would say that it's clear to see that the money's coming on Newcastle. And at this point, I'm going to look at where the efficient market price is set at. So if Pinnacle, let's say, has 1.9 right now on the double chance, I'm going to try to play a little bit of value behind that, look at all of my available outs and see what I can do to position myself to try to get, better than what the current price is at like Pinnacle or an exchange. And then just kind of position myself to say that, hey, okay, there's a good chance that the market continues to go in their favor. I'm just going to give myself enough cushion to make sure that I can play behind any price that's available at Pinnacle, so I have a good number on the match.
Yeah. All right. Terrific, mate. All right, fellas. That's the 3 games we wanted to go through. I should probably just ask you both. I mean, I can start with you, Harout. Is there anything else in the EPL that's in the markets that's taking your eye at the moment, mate?
Not so much, not right now, not at the moment. I do a lot of my EPL stuff on the day of or the night before.
Okay. All right, mate. And then if we had to, I guess, sum up everything we've gone through, we've got Liverpool, West Ham. So the play on that, we were thinking the overs and minus 1.5 or plus, sorry, plus 1.5 for West Ham. Manchester United game, Arsenal. I mean, you were pretty confident about Manchester United, George. But I mean, there wasn't too much movement in the market there. And we like Newcastle potentially, and also some cards for both teams. So, fellas, if we had to give a best bet of the weekend, we'll start with you, George, mate. You've had a brilliant run of form lately. If you had to pick something from anywhere, mate, I don't mind if it's from the EPL or wherever in the world, mate. Throw me something.
I'm tempted. I am again same as last week. I'm tempted between two. Really, it's either both of the same bet but in different games. So, but I think I'll stick with Sassuolo. They're my team at the moment that I'm enjoying having a little
Ooh.
dabble on. So they're away at Napoli. I believe it's on. I think it's on Saturday. But yeah, so I'm going to be going with that one. Napoli at home to Sassuolo. I think it's Maurizio Mariani who's in charge of that one, the referee. So I'm going to go with both teams to see two or more cards, and that's 20 to 23. So just over. I think it's 1.87. So I'm going to be playing with that one. I think I do like the odds on that one.
Both teams to see one or two cards, did you say?
Both teams to see two or more cards. So rather than say over one, I feel like it's easier if I say both teams to see two or more. Should we stick with that?
Yeah, simplify it for the dummies like me, mate. And Haru, mate, if you had to, find a best bet anywhere, mate, just to find a little bit of closing line value this week, where would you go?
I turn over to UFC. I mean, the price is kind of gone a bit expensive, but if you can still find something behind the current market price at Pinnacle, I like Alexander Hernandez. That one's seen quite a bit of good support since the opener. Really strong move in the UFC for this Saturday or Sunday for you guys. But yeah, Alexander Hernandez is one of them. Another one is Sean Strickland. That's also seen really good market support. Um, and in terms of like an underdog, even like Andre Philly is for boxing, I think. He's
No,
had,
Andre Philly's in the UFC.
yeah, UFC. Yeah, so we've had some support there on the UFC market for Andre Philly as well.
It's
So,
funny, mate. I was talking to Ryan a couple of days ago, and he said bet on Philly at what did he say? 2.2. He said you get
2.4 probably.
2.4.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think I
2.4.
got him at 2.38 or something like that. What's he into now?
2.2, but honestly, based on
Wow.
what I'm saying, it's gonna go more.
Yeah,
So
I don't
like
know.
if you guys want one that like really hasn't even matured yet, I would probably say Andre Philly's a better bet than the other two I mentioned. But if you just want to follow the other place for the sake of following the money and what I see has been like the sharpest moves, though Hernandez and Sean Strickland are also pretty good. But Andre Philly, you could still snag up some value there for an underdog.
Would you take Hernandez and Strickland now at their odds?
Look, like Pinnacle is minus 415 right now on Hernandez, but even me, I was able to get like a minus 380. I don't know off the top of my head what that translates to decimal, but it's around like the 1.25 to 1.3 range. So I think if you're trying to get in there, just still shop for the best price possible. I mean, like I said, there's been a lot of great support for both fighters. So anytime we usually see that, it almost always ends up in a good result.
Okay. So I mean, so you're saying like UFC, you're not that concerned as much with prices. Like if you're just seeing lots of support for one fighter, and even if the price has been smashed down, you're
Yeah,
still happy to take it.
usually even in the midst of the week, like right now we're Thursday, but I'll give you an example. Like these UFC lines, they're out for like weeks in advance sometimes, depending on what kind of a fight or card it is. So UFC lines, like they get they get hit pretty early, and like they'll just keep going in like one direction. Like this movement pattern like repeats itself over and over again. So I'm pretty much giving you guys a bit of insight and value. You don't have to really wait until like the start of the match to be able to put a bet in on these UFC ones. I think they're pretty safe positions to play early on when the lines are first released, because a lot of inefficiencies do happen early in the market.
Yep. All right, awesome, mate. So I think I've just seen Hernandez is that you said minus 415, so that's 1.24 decimal for Hernandez. So you'd be reasonably happy to take that now. And what were the odds on Strickland?
On Strickland, it's minus 361 right now. It opened at minus 240, so that's also seen a lot of good support.
Okay, what was it? 361. So that's 1.28.
Yeah, see, like I'm looking at my screen right now. I'll give you an example of how I would play a position like this. So if Sean Strickland's sitting minus 361 at Pinnacle, let's just say, I'm going to take into consideration what it opened at, how it's been moving, and how many days are left until the match is going to start. Because sometimes these things still can keep going in the direction of the trend. So if I can get a minus 360 at Pinnacle, I'm going to look and see, okay, where can I, shop my sports books and get like a minus 325 or a minus 330 just to be ahead of it, behind it by a few cents, to make sure that I'm able to position myself just in case the market doesn't keep going. I'll still have a little bit of value to at least be neutral.
Okay. Yeah, brilliant. All right, fellas. Well, I guess, Haru, you've just given out about 20 best bets of the weekend, but it's brilliant, mate. So, and George, just the one for you on Sassuolo again. So, look out for those. We've got a few questions flying in, but we'll just before we get to maybe one or two of them, I'll just mention where you can find George and Haru. So it's at @CGeorgeGamble on Twitter, and like always, check out his articles he does for We Love Betting, and at Bet Like Haru for Harout Massoyan. And I think maybe I haven't this time. Actually, I think I forgot to leave the links in the description to their Twitters. So follow those handles. But we'll go quiz answer of the week. Here we go. I'm finally going to get a win here. Which striker has played for the most Premier League clubs? Do you want to have a quick punt, Haru?
I don't know. If you don't give
Do you
me
want me to give you a
multiple
line?
choice, I don't have a 25% chance.
Do you want me to give you a line, mate? I'll give you a line. So we'll go over or under 14 clubs.
14.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over.
All right. Yeah. And George, mate.
Mate, it's annoying. I've got two in my head. I've got Nicholas Anelka or Craig Bellamy.
Nah, mate. No good at all. His name's actually, I don't know if he's the brother of Darren Bent. Is it Darren Bent? But his name's Marcus Bent. I mean, I've heard of the last name Bent, but
I've heard of I've heard of them both, but
okay, yeah, right. So he's played. I don't know if this is Premier League clubs or he's played for the most Premier League clubs, but I'm just not sure on the number. But the most English clubs, I mean, mate, I'm just going, I think it was the Telegraph or something. They gave this quiz question out. He's played for 15 clubs or 15 English clubs. Yeah.
I don't know about that. Is this like? Is this actually?
Mate, the one time I get a win, of course you're going to think it's a fucking conspiracy.
Naturally.
Why don't you just take the L, mate? And
yeah, but is this for senior football? Like senior, or is this like youth clubs?
All the 15 clubs he's played for, mate. They're all legit clubs. I'm just not sure if they were in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't. I'll let you have it. You've done it, but I don't think they're all Premier League. But no, well done. You've done well.
Thank you. I'll take that win, and I'll just have a look and see if there's any questions come through here on YouTube. So, if you've got any questions, it's always best to send them through on YouTube. We've got a question here from Aaron. He's asking, probably towards you, Haru, like, what do you guys do when you're limited on the sharps?
Limited on the sharps, like I don't know. I don't really get limited on my sharp accounts like Pinnacle or exchanges.
I guess when you just can't get the money down.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, our strategy is just to make sure that we have a lot of sports books available to us, and and just diversify and add money into every single one, even if we're taking like $200 or $300. I mean, it's a little bit different here in the U.S. because we have a lot of different um, options in terms of betting. But if you're getting limited in the European market, I know sometimes they can drop you to like what, $10, $20 a bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just focus on, trying to, just keep getting more accounts at different places. You're just gonna have to have a wide variety of sports books.
Yep. Yeah. Good tip, mate. Got a few other. Got Mohamed Basir, mate. He's agreeing with me on the Arsenal double chance. He sees a bit of value there. So, and he likes the West Ham pick. He really likes that one.
I'm happy to be proved wrong on the Arsenal game. If United lose, it's great. But
Mate, I hope
I'm happy to
yeah,
prove.
exactly. It'd be funny to go from their big 5-0 win. I think everyone's very happy at United right now. It'd be funny to give them a good kick up the arse again.
Or stranger things have happened, haven't they? So.
Oh, exactly. I don't know if you're following the Lille game, are you, George or Harout? Either of you following the Lille game? This guy's asking, or Johannes Beck asking if
I've been a bit, but
I mean, I could look at it real quick. Which one is he talking about? Oh, really? Okay.
It's 2-2. It's 2-2, and there's been Celtic have got a ridiculous amount of cards. I saw that.
Yeah, he's asking if you think Lille will win live. And then last of all, we've got Paulo Rossi here. He's saying that he thinks it's better with the Serie A, George, to bet over 2.5 on the Napoli game rather than the cards angle you went with. So,
Or from a goals angle instead.
Yeah, he's saying you should go over 2.5 instead of the cards angle. So anything you got to say for Paulo, mate?
That could welcome in. Both teams love scoring goals, but as I like to focus on cards, I know Sassuolo, and I do like them for cards in their games. So, obviously, if you're on the over 2.5, best of luck to you. It could very well come in. Do like the chances of it, but from the cards perspective, I also like both teams to see at least 2 cards.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Paolo. But, cop that.
Best of luck, Paolo, mate.
All right. Anything on the Lille game here, Haru, before we head off?
No, not really. But because we have a bunch of Europa starting in about 10 minutes, we have about 14 viewers online. So I'll just share through some of the positions that I've seen some money in the past, like 30, 40 minutes or so, because I've been monitoring. I know Dundalk got some support against Arsenal. The +3 got hit. So +3 has seen some money. If you could get that anywhere, it's a good bet. Even like +2.5 at even money is okay. I really like the Granada under 2.5 goals, total goals. If you can get that at, let's say, 1.7, 1.68, I would probably play that and get some value there. And even, those are pretty much the 2 good ones I've seen in the past 40 minutes that I've seen support. I just wanted to share that with the viewers.
That's tremendous, mate. I mean, I wouldn't go anywhere near the Dundalk one just as an Arsenal fan, but I'm trying to see if I can find anything for the under. Would you say you take 1.7 for Granada at under 2.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find. I'm just looking at Trademate here, and you got William Hill in Italy. He's offering 1.85. So there you go for you Italians.
Wow.
Maybe Paolo. I assume you're Italian, mate. You can jump on that.
Whoa,
that's a crazy good line, 1.85.
Yeah, it's great. That's good.
But yeah, it looks like they're all kind of down into the 1.6s, 1.57, something like that. So might have lost out there, fellas. Sorry about that. But yeah, terrific insight. I'll see if there's any more questions, but we'll probably have to call it a day. You got some things to do, haven't you, Haru?
Yeah, got a busy day ahead, and then I'm going over to. I got to go over to Circa tonight. They just opened a few days ago. Circa.
I thought you were going to pause on yeah.
I thought it was just going to be the one word reply. Yep.
That would have been good. All right, mate. Well, good luck at Circa, and fellas, good luck with your bets on the weekend. And to wrap up. Next podcast will be Mark Hughes, CEO of Bannock Technology. That was a fun one I did yesterday, so it'll come out on Monday. Hopefully, this one actually gets out onto the audio. I had a bit of a problem last week, but we'll see if we can fix it this time. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you do a quick rate and review of the podcast and subscribe to our channel. And yeah, if you're looking to implement some of the strategies we talk about today and every week, more so the value betting ones, try a free week trial of Trademate Sports and start your journey. Terrific stuff, fellas. I'll see if I can